It's the first time this was my first book. I decided to make the biggest, hardest, most expensive book my first book. How are you going today? It's a little bit windy out here. Yes, I've come to the warehouse. I know it's a little bit weird during the zombie apocalypse, but I've got a little small good news story. Any story, no matter how big nor small, is a good news story at this point in time. This story started back in November or December of last year, when these lovely people ordered a copy of my Sydney book on the website. So basically it took me from 1992 until the start of 2018, the end of 2017, to capture the images in this book. So almost 25 years. And this is a big book, weighs over 2 kilos. It's almost A3 in size when it's closed, almost 80 centimeters wide when it's open. I'm just going to randomly pick a page here. You never know whether a website order is just for personal use, or maybe they're buying it as a prototype. Well, these guys have now, they placed this order about 6 weeks ago for the opening of a new hotel. The hotel's opening in 4 or 5 days, and we now have to ship this stuff to them in time for the opening. They didn't want it beforehand. They want everything to go in at once. That's how we're doing it. So I'm so excited that I am shifting some of all of these Sydney books. It is so exciting. Now, what we have here, all of the stuff wrapped in plastic, is the Sydney books, plus a few extra ones down the bottom. So any of those that I can clear, that's a good thing. This book was shot on various cameras, from the Pentax K1000 on film all the way through to the D850. Just came out just as I was wrapping the final photography up. There's over 200 images in this book. I've made multiple jackets, and in the case of this one, they want the one of Sydney Harbour Bridge. So I've got to pack those up and ship them off today. Very exciting. Melbourne, a love affair. The books are the same size, they're the same page count, everything about them's the same. I did the layup a little bit different in the second book. I learned so much, but like, this was the first time I'd ever made a book of this size. It's the first time this was my first book. I decided to make the biggest, hardest, most expensive book my first book. Why not? If you're going to do things, you may as well do it with a bang. This is the jacket that they're after. This is called Northern Arch, otherwise known as the Sydney Harbour Bridge jacket. Now I need to get enough boxes of these. Okay, let's do it. Now look, if there's one thing I don't like about the zombie apocalypse, is it's the fact that everything gets out of sync. You know, your personal rhythms get out of sync. Your brain gets out of sync. It's kind of like you lose your race fitness. It's a bit weird, isn't it? I mean, it's never happened before to any of us. Creating that book, it meant that the creation of this book was significantly easier. I would say it was probably about 1/3 as hard. So much about creating that first book was, how do you even do it? Who do you print with? How do you lay it out? How do you create the color separations? How do you make sure the files are correctly color corrected to go on the various printers around the world? Because not all printers print with the same color profiles. Proofing. Logistics. How do you get 20 pallets? Yes, 20 pallets of books from one side of the world to the other. You saw at the start of this video how I've got, I think I started with 17 or 18 pallets of this book, and I've got something like 12 left. So I've gone through about 1/3 of them so far. And we're really, really lucky here. We've, in Victoria, just the other day, had no new cases. And that's amazing. And that may well mean that we are back to normal business. I'm going to guess, if this trend absolutely holds fast, they might open the gates for everything to kind of start spooling up again within a month. But I still think things like restaurants will take a little longer. Things like cinemas, where we're shoulder to shoulder, that could take months. International travel. Oh, and can you just remind me, I've got to take one of these chairs. We need a chair back at the gallery where I'm going now. Because it's a long story. Yeah, so don't let me forget to get a chair. I'm very proud of this book. I think it's actually better than the first book. It's 5 years later. I think the printing technology is better and the imaging technology is better. My first book was photographed with all sorts of cameras over a 25-year period. This was too, but then this was also photographed post-2012, where I went from having a 16 megapixel camera up to a 36 and 45 megapixels cameras. So I can see the difference in this book between the 12 and 16 megapixels, 6 megapixels, which is what the majority of that other book was. It was pre these high megapixels. So the next thing we have to do is label the boxes. You know what? I might do that with Mark. So we'll pack the van now.
Yesterday, we were on our way, but November came, and I wish it was yesterday. Yesterday, we were on our way.
Just before I go, we're going to go to the gallery now. We're going to shoot some more vids, do some editing, and get the courier to send these to Sydney. Okay. Now we've got about a 25-minute trip to Old HQ. It's so bizarre how quiet everything is. It really is strange. There's a dude going to work. Still a few people going to work. Yes, as I was saying before, it's weird what this change lifestyle does to your brain. It really is a bit weird. Yeah. How you doing? How you doing? As I've said previously, I think we have it pretty easy here in Australia. Pretty easy compared to the rest of the world. I mean, don't get me wrong, I personally don't think just because they open the tap again in, I don't know, let's say 80% of businesses, I don't think it means that 80% of business will be back. I think you'll be opening 80% of businesses and maybe 65% of business will be back. And that's a significant drop on the 100% that we were running at before all this happened. And I'm not a negative person. We will find a way. We will all find our way one way or another. That's the beauty of life. We will. But there is all 200, I can't remember, 205 or something images that are in this book. That's all of them. That's the year. This is 4K, so maybe you can zoom in, I don't know. But this is the year they were photographed and where they were photographed. And their name. They all have, I name my images. Let's say 35% less business in the world. Might go on for 6, 12, 24 months. This is a major shift. I think a lot of things are going to change. It really is a time where making prudent investment is critical. Prudent choice is critical. Think hard, weigh up the pros and cons. That's how I've run my whole life. I mean, it's an interesting thing. A comment a couple of videos ago was most small business runs on a knife's edge normally. So this image here is the oldest image in the book, taken in 1992 with the Pentax K1000 with Ilford FP4. Crazy. And that is so true. My business is no different. I'm 30 years deep, and that's part of why I'm a bit stronger and I've built up a bit more of an asset base and all of that sort of stuff. But because we're service providers, because we're small business, because we work from contract to contract with no permanent employer, you're always sitting on the knife's edge. You're always doing the hustle. Here is a great example of the tilt shift. This is the 85mm being used. So everything you're seeing here in regards to it being a little bit out of focus in certain areas is all done in camera, and that's how I like to do it. Sold some books. That's awesome. That's really exciting. Just got to keep those silver linings coming. I've got to tell you another little story. Jump on my website and go to my gallery page, mattirwin.com/gallery, and my internet service provider has broken my website. Now this is a tragic time for this to happen because it means people can't look at all my work. You can look at some parts of my website, but you can't look at all of it. Now how they've done this, I don't know. Why they've done this, they say because of security, but they've given me a very little time. I mean, they just said, oh, for most people it's not going to affect you. It's like, okay, great, it's not going to affect me. And I don't have deep pockets to fix my website that was running perfectly fine before. Weird stuff. It just keeps happening, doesn't it? So if anybody's got any great ideas on one, what's a great website platform? Like if I was going to use off the shelf, would you recommend anything? Because I'm feeling a little bit that way inclined after I've custom built over my 30 years, I think four or five websites. It's expensive. It takes a long time. Now technology keeps improving. I think I want a more simplified website in 2020. So please, if anybody's got any thoughts about websites and what to use and how to build it, that'd be amazing. If anybody wants to help me build it, if you happen to be a website guru and you're not busy at the moment, we can work something out. I really genuinely need some help quite quickly. Anyway, let's keep trucking, but I'd like to fix my website quite quickly, and I don't know, should I do it with Wix, or should I do it with Squarespace, or should I do it with Shopify, or whatever? So, I don't know. I was very lucky at the launch of these books, both the Melbourne A Love Affair and the Sydney A Love Affair, in both cases to have the Lord Mayors of the day. So yeah, lots of fun, very exciting. You can actually watch a video up here and see the launch, which was filmed with two D850s on tripods, nobody manning those cameras. I just couldn't make it happen. I still think we did a reasonably good job considering those cameras were just shooting on the fly. It was that particular gig that made me go, yeah, you know, the D850, etc., the non-mirrorless Nikon cameras at that point, because we have the D780 now, simply couldn't do that sort of role. And it did start the journey of saying I need a camera with reliable face tracking, etc., for this video work where nobody's watching. I mean, it was a pretty crazy idea to shoot this important event with no camera operators, but it worked and we got it covered. And in other exciting news, I just wanted to touch on this little guy here. Now, this is what we call in the biz, it's a dummy. This is something that your printer creates for you so you can get an idea of what your book will look and feel like and how it's bound. This is the actual size, shape, and feel of the book that I'm creating. Next, the book is largely finished. I was going to be wrapping everything up as coronavirus hit. But I'm so excited because this book is still going to come. This is it. You guys are getting a sneak preview before anyone else. Nothing is printed on this book yet, but this is going to be it. It's 364 pages of awesome photography. Tomorrow? Really? Sorry, I got one more to put on. So how you been anyway?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, very busy.
Busy. I have 800 kilos right now.
Oh my God,
I just picked up from Elsternwick.
that's the van limit, I would say,
Yes.
because mine's 800 as well.
Yeah.
How do you know you've got so? Can you just feel it?
No, every pack it's a clay.
Oh, it's clay.
Yeah.
So you got 800 kilos of clay. So people are doing a lot of potting. That's cool.
Just picked up from Elsternwick.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thanks for
All
that.
right.
Monday, I'll let the client know.
All right.
Hopefully see you soon. Look after
Have a good
yourself.
weekend. Take
See
care.
ya. Well, as always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. This has been more of a vlog episode, of course, just sharing some good news in these crazy times that we're living in right now. It's nice to see some of the wheels of normality continuing to turn. I have to say, as much as I'm a glass half full guy, like everybody else, this has been a tough time, and it continues to be a tough time. So there just needs to be some good news along the way, doesn't there? Thank you so much for being here today. If this is your first time and you'd like to come back, please subscribe, please share, please like, and if you'd like to see almost 200 episodes, you can click on the Irwin photography just down there and have a look at the complete video library, which is all about photography, gear, life as a photographer, etc. All right, it's been so good to see you, and I can't wait to get on with the adventure of the latest book. It's going to be a complete hoot, and I tell you, I'm going to be bringing out at an amazingly affordable price. And if you're anywhere else in the world, like, it's going to be really affordable in Australia, but if you're anywhere else in the world, it's going to be cheap because our dollar's not doing very well. So for instance, if you're in the US, it's going to be almost half price, which will make it something like 20 bucks. And for a 360 page book, woo! See ya.